Welcome back to MgM Paints, and today I have painted up my first Middle-earth strategy battle game miniature. These Riders of Rohan are from the Pelennor Fields box, but can also be purchased separately. I'll be sharing our journey to Middle-earth leading up to the battle reports in the future. Now, if you're here to hate on Slapchop or Zenithal painting or Grisaille or whatever you want to call it, you're in the wrong place. My channel isn't built around clickbait titles, and I don't see this as one. The fact is, since I found this method, it has reinvigorated painting for me. So call it whatever you want. It has made the hobby better for me, and I was able to knock this guy out during my lunch break and still have time to eat. We'll be mainly using the Army Painter speed paints today, so hit the thumbs up, grab a brush, sit back, and relax. We start with a black primer, and then I use Vallejo Iraqi Sand, which is a very light tan type of color, and I just load this on the brush. This is more of an overbrush than a dry brush, but I'm going to work my way around the miniature, giving this a pretty thorough dry slash overbrush, getting quite a bit of paint on the model. Where you see black, there's not going to be a lot of color, so you want to be sure that you get the top and the sides well colored, and just kind of let this paint go where it wants to go. I'm using a makeup brush that I purchased at the local supermarket, and this does well for this type of application because it has a rounded tip and pretty soft bristles. This took me about 5 minutes worth of time to do this as well as the Rider, including the white tone, which we will talk about next. It should be worth mentioning, if you've seen this technique on other channels, then you will see them a lot of times use a gray for this initial base tone. I do like the sand much better. The model overall, for me, comes out a lot brighter. The gray that is often used, it just tends to be a little too dark for me. But using Citadel White Scar, I'm going to go through and pretty much do the same thing, only this time I am doing a lighter dry brush and really just focusing on the edges and the raised areas where light would really be hitting the model. So just work your way around the model, giving that a light dry brush of pure white, and this is going to provide a lot of contrast for us once we apply our speed paint in the next step. And once our model looks like a statue, we are ready to go, and I'm going to be using the Army Painter Hardened Leather on this one. This is a speed paint, and this is going to have more of a chestnut type of color to it. I've painted the horses in a lot of different colors, from a darker brown, a black, and this is obviously a lighter brown that I'm going for. So the Armor Speed Paint Hardened Leather, I've got a good sized brush here, and I'm just taking this straight from the bottle and going with a single coat over the horse. You do want to try to be a little careful here and not spill over to other areas. If you do, it's not a big deal. You could go back in with a gray tone or a pure white that you used to dry brush and just tidy that back up before applying a different kind of speed paint to it. So work your way around, getting all of the horse in this color, and you'll start to see the horse really start to take shape immediately. Now there's also, while we have this color out, we are going to tackle the back of the shield as well. This isn't really seen on the model, but I still do it just in case the shield is in some kind of awkward position and you would see the back, but I will apply this color to the back of that shield as well. In total, that took about 5 minutes, and you can tell we've got a nice base coat to work with. Next, I'm going to grab the Army Painter Speed Paint Absolution Green, and we are just going to get this cloth fabric piece that is underneath where the saddle would be. Again, we just need a single coat straight off the palette. Take your time, try to be neat, and not spill over onto the areas that you previously painted. And with this color still out, we will tackle the Rider, the cloak that he is wearing. So just work your way around. You'll be able to see where this is. Be a little careful around the arms, as they are wearing kind of a underneath coat, if you will. And we're going to make that brown. But just work your way around the model, making the cloak green. That entire process took about 4 minutes. And now with the next 2 minutes, we are going to grab the Army Painter Speed Paint Sand Golem. And we're going to get this bit on the horse. And then over on the Rider, he has some pieces on his back that will get this color as well. Could be a quiver, could be like a bedroll, if you will, but we will get that with Sand Golem. Now, if you notice at the bottom of that, I did have a little bit of overspill of the Absolution Green. I went over it anyway with this paint, and it just turned it a darker color, not hardly enough to be noticeable. Alright, back to our horse while this dries. We're going to spend about 5 minutes going over the metallic areas. And I use Vallejo Natural Steel for this. It is a nice bright metallic color. And I'm going to get this little piece on the horse and then go around the rider as well. The horse is going to have a few clasps and things that are, holding straps together. I'll get that in this color. But over on the rider, we'll have quite a bit more metallic to get. And you want to use this color for any copper colors that you're going to make as well, or gold, bronze type colors. There's a method with the speed paints that'll give you a nice copper, bronze kind of effect. So just anything metallic that you want, silver or a gold, bronze type color, go ahead and cover that now. Okay, and back to the Army Painter Speed Paints, we're going to pull out Dark Wood, and I'm going to use this to get the straps. Depending on the color of the horse, I will alter these colors. They could be black, they could be dark brown, they could be a light brown. So if I use Dark Wood on the horse, which is what I do use to get that darker brown type of color, then I will use Hardened Leather on the straps, just to give it a little bit of variation. So the step is pretty easy. Just take your time working your way around getting all the straps on the horse, and there will be a few pieces on the rider that we'll use this color on as well. In particular, the bow that he is wearing, if they happen to have a spear, I will get it in this color as well. And then I like to give them some variation on their strap colors, so I will do his straps in this color as well. A few other pieces that you could consider in this color would be the scabbard. He is also wearing that undercoat. I will get that in this dark brown color as well. And then the boots. That process took about 4 minutes, and then I switch up to the Army Painter Grim Black. This is another speed paint. I get the hair on the horse, the hooves, and then on the rider, I get his pants as well as some gloves and like an undersuit that he is wearing. Now, one thing I absolutely love about these paints is you can see it just come off the brush and run into the recesses. And this is coming straight from the palette, so I've just poured some out. You put it on there, and if there's enough on your brush, it just immediately fills the recesses and just gives you really nice shade as well as some highlights. Alright, so that process probably took about 4 minutes, and then I'm going to use the Army Painter Crusader Skin just to get a little bit in the face to give those some flesh tones. Not a whole lot of face showing here, but just enough to where you want to bring some life to it. That takes just a few seconds, and then we are going to switch up to Gravelord Gray, which is another Army Painter speed paint. And by now, those silver bits that you painted earlier have had more than enough time to dry. We're going to essentially use this Gravelord Gray to go in over that silver and tone that down a little bit and kind of run this into the recesses almost like a wash. So just go over painting those silver bits with this color. You'll find that it is going to have a very nice effect. It's not going to dirty it down too much, but it is still going to give you some pretty good definition in the recesses. Okay, with that complete, we're going to look at the rider's hair, and again, I use a variety of colors here. For this one, I use the Army Painter Speed Paint Fire Giant Orange. I've never used this color before, so going to apply that to the hair on the back as well as the facial hair on the front. And overall, I am pleased with the color of this, and now we're going to switch gears a little bit. If you remember those metallics that we wanted to be that copper bronze type color, we're going to pull back out the Army Painter Hardened Leather. We're going to go over those bits that we painted silver, and we're going to turn them more into a color that we want. So with a steady hand, just go along the outline of these greaves. I am going to get some of the mail that he is wearing in this color as well, and the helmet. I think you'll find that hardened leather over a bright silver goes on very well and really gives a nice gold metallic effect. And by the way, it is totally okay to let some of this paint drop down onto that silver metallic area. All that's doing is creating some additional shadow. And after just a few minutes, we're on the home stretch with this model, and I think he is looking really good for just a single coat of paint. If you remember the shield that we were working on, this little piece right here on the figure is what holds that shield in place. I would not recommend painting this before putting the shield on, as the shield will rub some of this paint off. So don't do what I did and paint this before putting on the shield. Go ahead and put your shield on, and then we will tackle that. And with the shield attached, we're going to go back to the Army Painter Absolution Green. We're going to get the bulk of the shield with this color, trying to avoid any kind of iconography that may be on the shield. I will spill over some here, and we'll have to go back in with wolf gray or white scar or some other light color to touch that up, but I was going to paint those anyway, so it may not be as big of a deal depending on what color you want to make them. And now with that white scar or wolf gray, I use Vallejo Game Color Wolf Gray, go back in and touch up the horse's teeth or anything that you want to be showing in that white color. I'm also going to get the icons on his shield with this color as well, and with that we are pretty much done. Now this serves as an excellent base for you to take as far as you want, and for me, I wanted to bring a little more of that metallic silver back out, create some definition. I went back to that Vallejo natural steel, just kind of gave that a light dry brush in some places, trying to be pretty careful not to get it anywhere on the other parts of the miniature. You could go back in and give some edge highlights to things such as the cloak, the shield, anything else that he is wearing to make those pop. For a lot of my miniatures, I went around with a light dry brush on the horses, especially if they were black. I chose a gray kind of color to give that some additional highlights. And then I also used the Army Painter Speed Paint, a red color, to get the horse's tongue, as I forgot that here, but I'm going to work on the base, go around with my Iraqi sand, giving that a dry brush. The majority of this base is just the sand that I put on there, and then when I primed in black, this is what was left over. So I work my way around, giving that a little bit of variation, and then I apply some water and glue along with the Army Painter's static grass. You can apply some flowers or tufts or whatever you want, and then your Rider of Rohan will be complete. So this miniature took me about 30 to 40 minutes to paint up. I'm really satisfied, and you can see him mounted up with his fellow Rohirrim here. Everything was just a single coat of Army Painter Speed Paint, and no dry times, just one color right after the other. Hey, really hope you've enjoyed this painting video. If you'd like to see more, please leave a thumbs up. I'm certainly looking forward to playing this game in the near future. Hey, big shout out as well to my 2022 Coffee Supporters Club. Your names are on the screen now, as well as on a piece of our terrain. Really appreciate your support. Until next time, thanks for watching.